The first time I listened to Dilla was well after he had passed away. It was during this O2 advertisement back in 2010. I was 14, and even though I did like rap and some great hip hop, I didn't have the same knowledge and understanding of it as a medium as I do now. It still shocks me that a relatively underground hip hop producer duo was featured in a nationwide TV ad, but even though I didn't know who Dilla and Madlib were at the time, I never forgot that advert. The next time I listened to Dilla was thanks to my brother only a few months later. He's older than me, and he'd almost certainly known about the Red being featured in that advert. He's introduced me to more music than I could ever wish, and I'm eternally grateful to him for that. But for a few months in 2010 he used to play one song more than any other. This song just so happened to be the first Doom song I'd ever heard, and it was called Sniper Elite. It uses the instrumental from the amazing anti-American graffiti taken from what would be one of the most important albums in my life, Donuts. But we'll get to that. I didn't have an instant reaction to Sniper Elite, but the more my brother played it, the more I got into it, and pretty soon I started joining him while it played through his speakers. I didn't have mobile data back then, but I wanted to listen to it so much I'd load the video on YouTube, let the entire thing load, and listen to it over and over while walking to school every day, stopping it just before it ended and replaying it from the start. It was the beginning of a huge change for me. I listened to a lot of hip hop music after that, and when I got my iPod Classic that amplified things even more, but I still didn't really dig into the nitty gritty of what a producer did and what sampling even was. I knew some samples of some songs, but I didn't understand the sheer brilliance that it takes to create some of my favourite tunes. So I mostly listened to Dilla songs without realising it. I knew who he was, but I never delved very deep into his instrumentals. Even though I loved Common's The Light, Jay Electronica's Renaissance Man, and even certain beats like In the Streets from J Love Japan and Working on It from Donuts, I just never got hugely into trying to listen to every Dilla beat in existence. Then in early 2016, after quite a long obsession with 80s music sparked by the Phantom Pain, I came across Dilla in a direct way once again. I started to listen to a lot more hip hop at work, as the beats seemed to keep me focused on what I was doing, and one of my favourites was Stakes is High by De La Soul. Then I was like, wait a minute, this is produced by Dilla. I listened to The Light again, produced by Dilla. Get a Hold by Tribe, Dilla. All my favourite songs were produced by Dilla, so I listened to Dilla. I listened to Dilla in the morning, in the shower. I listened to Dilla while I was walking to work, while I was at work. I listened to Dilla while I studied and worked out. I really just listened to Dilla all the time.
Whenever you listen to a JD beat or whatever, you get the feel good. I call it the feel good. It's either that, or it's that, it's whichever way. I call it the feel good.
Dilla got me into hip hop in a way where suddenly I went from focusing on the lyrical ability to listening to the beat. Every song I liked, I wanted to know the sample. I wanted to know who the producer was, and I still think they should be named on every hip hop song. I started to be able to tell who produced a track based on the beat alone. I got into Farside and Slum Village.
What are you talking about, JD? You've never had a menage a trois?
And whatever else YouTube would recommend to me. I'd listened to a lot of hip hop before, but not on a scale like this. Instead of listening to mostly singles, I listened to albums in their entirety, and then I listened to Donuts. I'd tried to listen to Donuts before, but I never got past the first couple of tracks. It wasn't that I didn't like it, I was just more into songs with lyrics at the time. And when I listened to it again in 2016, it blew me away. I listened to Donuts on repeat for over a month. The entire thing loops back on itself, with the first and last tracks blending together perfectly. I even listened to every sample in the same order they're used through the compilation album Recipe for Tasty Donuts. From the tribal drums of people to the hopeful horns of the difference, the wistful sounds of time, the horrifying soundscapes of the factory, and the heart-wrenching lyrics of Airworks, which have been sampled to say no air repeatedly, to To the soulful genius of 111, which lasts 1 minute and 11 seconds, and whose sample is pitched down 111 cents. With a frankly insane 31 tracks, most a minute or two long, every track is something different, presenting a new idea, all whilst feeling like Dilla is speaking directly to you.
When I make my music, you know what I'm saying, I want people to feel what I feel. I want them to feel that energy that whatever it was. Yeah, that's all it is. Because I make it straight from the heart. So it's like, to be taken for anything else is crazy to me.
At times it seems so unorthodox as to not even be associated with the genre, but Donuts is a true masterpiece of hip-hop. Beautiful donuts that represent each track are made even more bittersweet, knowing that J Dilla, the man and legend, made all of these tracks on his deathbed. Knowing the inevitability of his situation, he made one last album as his goodbye gift to the world.
This was his wish during his illness, that he be able to give his gift to the world. He was able to live long enough to give that gift back, and it'll last a lifetime. I'm so proud. I'm not mourning because I'm rejoicing. I've been so blessed to be the mother of a genius of music.
29 out of the 31 tracks were recorded in his hospital bed, and some clearly speak of the pain he felt. The final track sampling the song When I Die by Motherlode. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that J Dilla changed my life. Rest in peace. Thank you to Dilla for being the greatest producer of all time. Thank you to Kazuya3171 for putting together the best Dilla beat mix and getting me through all that studying. And thank you for watching. Cheers.
And now, you know how we do it. J Dilla setting it off.